The Nightmare Place by Steve Mosby. Read by Maggie Ollenrenshaw. Prologue. For me, it's the waste ground. It's a real place, and although I haven't been there in years, I dream about it often. The nightmares first started in my mid-20s, and continue on and off to the present day, always arriving during periods of stress. When I wake up afterwards, I feel grim and empty and bad, tangled in bedsheets, damp with sweat. I can shower that away, of course, but the residue stays on my skin for hours like a stain. As in real life, it's an expanse of open tarmac, perhaps 100 meters square, the surface scattered with dust and rubble, nails, bolts, broken glass. There used to be a factory here a long time ago, and remnants of it remain. There are ridged steps of brick in places, while in others the land has been gouged out. It's as though the factory was not demolished so much as blown sideways by an enormous blast of pressure, and that its foundations gripped the land so hard that some were left behind, while others ripped out scoops of ground to drag away with them. Old wire mesh fences run down either side, the metal thin and rusted. On the far side, across from me, there is a small embankment. A footpath leads over it, worn into the hump of grass by the trudge of countless feet. Without walking across, I know what's at the other end of that path, beyond the thickets of trees, the school I used to go to. And without turning round, I know that the Thornton estate is behind me, a malevolent presence pressing at my back. It's a real place, and even though I haven't been there in years, I know it well. As a child, I walked across it so many times that the sight is as worn into my memory as the path on the embankment. But I've never seen it like this. In my recurring nightmare, the sky is an impossible aquamarine colour, a strange mixture of blue and green that reminds me of being underwater. The colour permeates the air all the way to ground level, as though the whole scene is a construction at the bottom of an illuminated fish tank. Above me the clouds are vibrant and bright, moving far too quickly across the sky, and there is a rush to the air, as though a wind is blowing. But I can't feel it. Nothing moves but the clouds. And that includes the figure. It is standing in the centre of the waste ground, and is always the same, grey and colourless and wraith-like. I can't tell if it's a man or a woman, because it's ragged at the edges, as though it has been frozen in the act of moving very quickly towards me. For now it seems just to hang in the air. The sensation is of being out of time. This is what the world looks and feels like when it has been paused. I've no idea what the dream means, only that it means something. My subconscious is showing me a photograph, holding it in front of my face, demanding that I recognize it, like a cop in a TV show sliding across the photo of a murder victim to unsettle a suspect. See this. Look at this. Something terrible happened to me on that waste ground, but I have no idea what. Memory can sometimes be a very strange thing indeed. If our minds are like houses, then most of what happens to us ends up distributed in the usual rooms. While we might not recall something immediately, there is always the feeling that we could pass through a doorway and there it would be. Even if we have to shift the furniture around a little, search for what we want, it's there somewhere. And yet it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes the things that happen to us are so awful that they get stored piecemeal, scattered about, or else are hidden carefully away. Occasionally our minds lift a trapdoor, throw an experience down the set of dark steps below, and bolt the cover back in place. Only a trace of it remains in the air. Perhaps we catch the scent of it from time to time, nervously aware that something is wrong, but we've no way of discovering what. Those experiences still come out, of course.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?